The impact of those big ticket, big cost lobbying efforts, they really aren't going unnoticed. Many have been dunking on Biden and the Democrats for their failures as far as it concerns advancing progressive policies, or really any policies at all for that matter. And Charlamagne, the god, served up essentially an especially harsh critique on yesterday's edition of The Breakfast Club. Here's how Charlamagne opened.
Today for Thursday, January 20th, goes to the 46th president of the United States of America, Joe Biden, as well as Arizona Senator Krysten Sinema and West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. These three are collectively responsible for the death of the Democratic Party as we know it. Okay, Joe Biden and other Democrats love to run around and say, we have to go out there and vote like democracy depends on it. People are asking if we are witnessing the death of democracy in America. Well, guess what? If it is, which I believe it is for some of us, these three are to blame. Simple as that. Since last summer, 19 states have enacted 33 laws that will make it hard for Americans to vote. By Americans, I mean, all right, all these GOP-sponsored state laws will suppress turnout by minority voters. This is an old tune, ladies and gentlemen. All right, voter suppression by the GOP against black people is the greatest hit. All right, a golden oldie. Kids, trust me, it would break all screaming records. It is the Ed Sheeran shape of you of American politics. All right, President Biden knew that going in. And after the attempted coup of this country on January 6th, that should have been his first order of business, protecting voting rights. I've told y'all so many different times on this here radio and on other platforms, on TV and everything else. There's 3 or 4 things Joe Biden had to do to protect democracy. Okay, this morning I'll give you 3. 1, prosecute everyone involved in the attempted coup of this country to the highest extent of the law, not just the members of Vanilla ISIS who stormed the Capitol, but the members of Congress who helped them. 2, get rid of the filibuster so you can properly govern. And 3, protect voting rights. Protect voting rights. But guess what? None of those things have happened.
None of those things have happened. Also, Charlamagne pointed out how better the Republicans are at essentially passing bills or getting what they want than the Democrats.
Republican politicians are the epitome of unity and group operation. They fall in line with each other. And if one doesn't fall in line, they get the business. Okay? Last week on NPR, Donald Trump called Mitch McConnell a loser and blamed him for the GOP senators who won't go along with his claims that the election was stolen.
Also, Charlamagne went on to give a dire prediction of essentially what Democratic messaging will look like for the midterms, along with his hunch essentially as to why the Dems won't actually do anything.
I don't know if it's because he's old or maybe he really doesn't care, but I never hear the sense of urgency. It's literally always more urgency for us to go out there and vote than it is for elected officials to protect voting rights. All you're about to hear for the next however many months before the midterms is how we have to have the largest voter turnout in the history of the midterms in order to protect democracy. How we have to vote like democracy depends on it, but they never, ever govern like democracy depends on it. You are going to hear you have to go out there and vote because if votes didn't matter, why are they fighting so hard to take them from you? Yes, that is true. But you know what else matters? When you're an elected official, getting things done. Because Joe Biden has never known a day in his life what it means to have his voting rights threatened. All right, it's a matter of white privilege for Biden.
That's a really good observation in terms of he's never had those kind of struggles that a lot of us in the United States have. Also, too, coming in as president with this hunky-dory mentality, the thought that, I'm gonna get everybody to come to the table and everybody's gonna be respectable, this old gentleman's agreement style, despite completely forgetting that the entire Trump administration had occurred and people are not following these gentleman agreements, nor are they being respectable. Cenk?
Yeah, I absolutely love that segment by Charlemagne for 2 reasons. Number one, he makes a great point that everybody else in the media ignores. Why do only the voters have to have urgency? Okay, and by the way, we did our job. We put you in charge, gave you the House, the Senate, and the White House. Why don't you have urgency? Do you know that Joe Biden, after Krysten Sinema gave the speech saying that she's going to keep the filibuster and basically end Biden's presidency, Biden went into a caucus meeting with Sinema, Manchin, and others. He didn't even criticize her. He didn't even mention her. He didn't call her out. After the meeting, Manchin immediately said he's also going to keep the filibuster because he realized, Biden doesn't care at all. He doesn't care at all. So why do we have to have urgency? So he speaks for all of us. But here's the I think more important part. I think as Charlamagne goes, the Democratic, so goes the Democratic Party. And I'll make my case for it, and then you guys tell me what's real, right? So I think Charlamagne's an excellent weather vane for what do generally African American voters think. Because remember, he's very mainstream. A lot of politicians go on his show. Kamala Harris went on a show recently, and they love to get the credit that that basically you get by going on his show. And he's been open to them. He's always been a little tough, right? And I've never seen him be soft. In fact, I think he's a better journalist than almost anyone in national media. And then, but now he's drawing the line, and he's saying, because my guess is he senses it from his audience, like we sense it from our audience. We've had enough. We've had enough of Democrats saying, after the next election, after the next election. No, you'll do it now. Otherwise, don't come crying here telling us how we have to vote more for you.
Yeah, it seems that they continue to always say, just wait, just wait. But of course, when elections come, they need us to come out and vote. Yet no one is really working or pushing truly and making that invested effort in things that are important to the Black community and things that hold a lot of us back from being essentially contributing members of society and changing the oppressive structures that are essentially instituted across the board, across the nation. And it's just hard to continue to have faith in a country that has done nothing but hold you back and abuse you. Bridget?
Yeah, I think that he is accurately summarizing a lot of how folks feel. I really don't like saying this, but I do think that a lot of bad actors in our political system, their goal is to get folks to check out of democracy altogether and to be like, oh, the right and the left are the same, all politicians are the same, they're all crooks, it doesn't matter who you vote for. And for a long time, I would have said that, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong. I completely understand people who just feel completely frustrated to the point where it's like, why not just check out of this process that is so unwilling to see me, unwilling to support me. Like I was watching this interview with Jen Psaki, and she was asked like, oh, what should people do if they're feeling frustrated about the loss of voting rights and all of this? And she said, oh, go to your kickboxing class, drink your margaritas, and show up on Monday, do whatever you need to do to get your frustration out. And I thought, gee, the people who are losing their voting rights, I'm not sure that they're like taking private kickboxing classes or like going out and spending lots of money on margaritas. And part of me thought like, is this really who you think the folks who are having their voting rights threatened? Is this really like the only way that you can conceptualize them? And so I think that, the way that Charlamagne is talking about this frustration and this feeling, I think that he is not wrong. I think that he is accurately summarizing the way that a lot of folks feel right now, where it feels like we did our part. We came out and voted in historic numbers during a pandemic, mind you, risked our lives to vote, organized the vote, and here we are still having the same conversations. And so I completely think that he is accurately summarizing the way that a lot of us feel right now.
Yeah, there's two more parts of that. Look, the idiot Joe Biden sees that his numbers with independents and Democrats are dropping like a rock, and his overall polling is disastrous. Not because of Republicans, they always hated him. Look at the goddamn numbers, you schmucks, right? You're losing Democrats. That's why your polling numbers are so disastrous. And what does Joe Biden say in the last press conference? He says, I promise I won't go too far left. No, you come on. So now look, why I think Charlamagne's so important is because he's not known as a progressive. I don't know what his exact politics are, but he's not known for that. He's very mainstream in that sense. So when he expresses that frustration and is willing to call out not just Manchin and Sinema, but Joe Biden as the donkey of the day, that means we've crossed the Rubicon and they're actually gonna lose Black voters. That's my sense of it. So again, that's what I'm asking you guys. Like, does that make sense to you that Charlamagne crossing that line is kind of a symbol, a sign that this is not like other times? They're actually gonna lose voters.
Oh, you know what? I'm not really a follower of Charlamagne, but I will tell you that I think that the general thought or consensus is, what's the point? Because I don't necessarily think people will leave the Democratic Party or vote Republican as much as maybe they just won't vote as much, and they're not going to like go the distance to come out and show out like we did before, because it continues to show us that every time we've supported our country, our neighbors, our community, we only get kicked in the teeth. And that continues to happen. And all these promises, they seem to fall apart. So what is the point in going the distance for people who don't support you? And we've seen the same thing over and over again. But I don't know, Bridget?
Yeah, I agree. I should say I'm no big fan of Charlemagne, but I do think he has a point here. And I also think that, like, what you were saying, Cenk, earlier about sort of Biden saying, I won't go too far left. I think that the Republicans were going to demonize him no matter what he did. And so you may as well use this mandate from the people to swing for the fences and go big and make big sweeping, the kinds of big sweeping progressive change we need right now. I think it's such a mistake, and like classic Biden, classic Democrats, to play it safe, go small, and really accomplish not that much. And I think, yeah, you were exactly right. They were going to demonize him and hate him regardless. So why not go big and actually get policy passed for the American people? And who cares if Republicans demonize you? Who cares about meeting them halfway? Who cares about this fiction of bipartisanship when only one side seems to be at all interested in it? Like this idea that you're gonna meet them at the table and like be very, civil and play things above the board. Obviously, they're not interested. How many times do we have to go through this? So I completely agree with both of you. I think that folks are right to feel frustrated. I feel frustrated. I think the frustration I'm feeling in this moment feels very different than the kinds of frustrations I felt in other administrations. And so I don't know where we go from here. I don't know what we do with this. I'm interested to see how the midterms play out, but I don't think that Charlemagne is wrong in this moment.
Yeah, I know where to go. Vote against almost every Democratic incumbent in a primary, in the primaries. We cannot vote for fascists. We cannot vote for Republicans, but you've got to participate in primaries and punish these establishment Democrats for doing this to you. We're like abused spouses, and the Democrats keep saying, "Oh no, baby, it's okay. I still love you," and I'll do right next time. No, leave them. Go vote for progressives.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.